and they're just going on what he's saying, and when you say something, they twist your words. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to sit there, and they asked me stupid questions yesterday, like, oh, did you do anything to Tia? Well, no, I bloody didn't. Excuse my language, but no, I didn't. I'd never think of that. I'd love her to bit. She's like my own daughter, for God's sake. We had that sort of relationship. It was that sort of thing. It was just, you know, she wanted it, she got it.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, ooh, it's a sick one. This case is regarding the disappearance of 12-year-old Tia Sharp, who went missing in London back in 2012. This was quite a high-profile case when it happened, and when she was eventually found, the story took a darker turn. You see, a man named Stuart Hazell was the boyfriend of Tia's grandmother, and although he talked to the press, seemed desperate to find the missing girl, he was hiding a horrible secret. But not for long. This is the story of the disappearance of Tia Sharp and the case of Stuart Hazell. Tia Sharp was born on the 30th of June 2000 in Croydon, South London, to her teenage mother, Natalie. Natalie was close with her mother, Christine, who was also there for the birth. Tia was her first grandchild. Tia's father, Steve Carter, he split when Tia was just a baby. When Tia was 2 years old, her mother Natalie began seeing a man named Stuart Hazell. They had a brief fling, about a week, and then Stuart, who was doing the rounds, I guess, decided to go and hook up with Natalie's mother, Christine, who was 10 years older, moving in with her in 2007. Now, growing up, Tia, Natalie and Christine, they were more like friends than family, gal pals, best buds. Tia was small for her age, just 4 foot 5 inches tall, but she had a big, sunny disposition, quite like myself. She loved films, music and singing, big X Factor fan, and dreamed of becoming an actress one day, as so many young girls do. She adored Stuart. She had known him since the age of 2, and he felt the same. He treated her as if she was his own grandchild, child even. But he didn't really pass the smell test. Though I'm not talking about his farts, I couldn't find any reports on them. He had a rough upbringing. He went into care at a young age, while his father was in prison and had little contact with his mother, who had worked as a prostitute. From a young age, he was involved in petty crime, and had started drinking at the age of 13. He was often in trouble at school. His first conviction came when he was 14, and he later ended up at a homeless hostel, where he claimed he was raped aged 16. He had a history of depression, self-harm, suicide attempts, drug use and alcoholism, and had a history of convictions going back to 1991, including disorderly behaviour, racially aggravated assault, dealing the devil's dandruff, possessing a machete, grievous bodily harm, and burglary and theft, and had been imprisoned 3 times. Tia lived with her mother, Natalie, but she would sleep over with Christine and Stuart like all the time. And so this brings us up to the weekend of August the 2nd, when she disappeared. Natalie got a text from 37-year-old Stuart, inviting Tia to stay over for the weekend. Tia headed over, met up with Stuart, and they headed off shopping. After doing their bits and pieces, they went back home to Stuart and Christine's. Christine, who was working the night shift at a care home, gave them a call that evening and everything seemed hunky-dory. The next day, Christine comes home and is like, "Where's Tia?" Well, apparently, she went off to buy some shoes. However, that evening, with still no sign of her, they start to become worried. They try to call her, but she had left her phone at home, charging. And then that night, at about 10 PM, they go to the police, file a missing persons report. Tia is gone. And as the days go by, a major investigation was launched.
It was at midday on Friday, the 3rd of August, that Tia is said to have left her grandmother's home in New Addington. On Monday, Tia's uncle appealed on behalf of the family for her to come home.
Anybody that knows where she is or any information, please come to us.
On Tuesday, police released a CCTV image, taken less than 24 hours before she disappeared. On Thursday, we heard from Tia's biological father.
Please come home. Everyone loves you. mum's side and dad's side.
Do you have any information in regards to the Tia Sharp missing girl?
7 days into their investigation, another new tactic. Some of these drivers might have taken the same route this time last week and seen something crucial. As this search intensifies, the focus seems to be narrowing, hovering over the one certainty we know for sure, that Tia was at this house before she vanished.
80 police officers would be assigned to the search, 800 hours of CCTV footage examined. There were about 60 sightings reported by members of the public, but none could be confirmed. It's like she just vanished. The investigators, learning a bit more about Stuart's past, they begin to have some doubts about him, and they begin to look into him a bit more. After all, he was the last person to see her alive. They searched Stuart and Christine's house. They searched it multiple times, in fact, and this wasn't a big house, a 3-bedroom terrace. They bring in German Shepherds. They find jack shit. The days go by, still nothing regarding what happened to Tia. Dogs, helicopters, nothing. On the 9th of August 2012, Stuart invited the media into his home to make an appeal for, to help to search for Tia and, make an appeal for her safe return if she has been kidnapped. And also to dispel the growing accusations coming from the media that Stuart had something to do with Tia Sharp's disappearance.
She come downstairs, she sat down, just sat down here, on the chair where you are now, Dave, sitting there watching telly. She picked up your mum's DS up, played the DS for a little while. I said, well, we're going to have some breakfast, so I made her some toast, and she had the toast, and then she wanted a sausage roll, because she's always eating sausage rolls. Just started doing a little bit of washing up in the kitchen. She was in there, she was telling me what she was doing, but I weren't really logging it into my head. I didn't, do you know what I mean? Remember, like the kids, they talk to you, it goes in one ear, stays there for a second, and it goes out, you know what I mean? Then I was washing up, mopping the sides down. She was still mumbling away. I can't remember what she was bloody on about, to be honest with you, excuse my language. As I was hoovering, then she walked past me from the front room to go out, and she walked out the front door, that is all I know. And she left her bloody phone on charge, because I told her to sit there and leave her phone on charge. She said, oh, goodbye. Well, I said, well, make sure you're back at 6. She went, yeah. And that was it, and then the door closed and she walks out.
And tell me a little bit about Tia's life. I mean, is she a happy girl? Is she jolly? Has she got any problems?
No, she's got no problems at all. She's a happy-go-lucky golden angel. You know what I mean? She's perfect. There's no arguments, nothing we can think of, absolutely nothing.
And tell me about the Thursday night, because obviously there was just the two of you. Did you have a meal? Did you talk? Was there any particular conversations?
We had a meal that night, because when we went to Co-op, we bought these things. I bought them for Chris, but then Tia ate 3 of these lollies, knobbly bobblies, and she was going to eat the last one. I said, no, leave that for your nan, because I wish you'd come back with an empty box in the bin, and then you go mad. But no, we had munchies. We had like pizza chips, which I've made her another one, but she's still on the oven now. I mean, the chips. Oh, it's been horrible. Do you know what I mean? The families, we're stuck inside here. Do you know what I mean? We've got all the papers outside, all putting accusations down, and do you know what I mean? Bad mouthing everyone, and it's just what you don't need. Do you know what I mean? I know they're trying to help in that, but they can help in other ways. Do you know what I mean? By finding her back, get her home, for God's sake. No. She wants to come home. It's a loving family. What she's got. Yeah. Everyone's it's silly, do you know what I mean? All the hearsay in the papers, they're digging up on previous, which has got absolutely nothing to do with it, and they've even got that arse about face.
Yeah, everyone's got a silly past.
Everyone's got a shady past, yeah, do you know what I mean? That's 10 years ago, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? They've gone to my dad, they've seen my dad, he's got everything arse back to front, and do you know what I mean? She's got a loving home, she's never gone without anything, so I can't work it out what the hell's going on. They're all out there, they want to report the truth. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're just reporting what home, they're talking to people around here that don't even know us and getting things off them, but they don't know anything. Do you know what I mean? They're just going on hearsay. Everyone going on hearsay. Well, if they believe what they read in the papers, they can do whatever they like, because I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out of my house. She walked out there, and I know damn well, because she was seen walking down the pathway. I know she made that track down to that way. What happened after that is, I don't know. And I wasn't the last person to see her, because the last person to see her was the one walking down the pathway. I feel they're pointing the finger at me because till the other day it was known that I was the last person to see her, but I wasn't the last person to see her. I mean, they've gone on hearsay, everything like that. But it's not about me, it's about Tia. This is all about Tia, and we've got to get her home, man. We've got to get her home. I just don't know what more to do. Tia, come on, babe. Come on. Come and eat your dinner. I want me £10 back from my garden.
Yeah, just
we
come
love
home.
you, babe.
We want it back to normal.
Please.
There's nothing. It's going to be back to normal. Just come home and be back in the family. She's part of the family. Come on. Nothing's changed. No one's in trouble. Come on.
Tia's body was actually upstairs the entire time, in the house. The house the police searched multiple times. No one in Tia's family suspected what he had done, and Stuart decided to do a legger. And it was around this time that Christine started to notice a bad smell in the house, and she couldn't locate the source of it. The police came back again to search the house for a fourth time, and they found Tia's body wrapped up in a black bag in the tiny loft space. Also in the bag was Stuart's t-shirt, which was found to have Tia's blood in it, and a pair of his glasses, which were broken and carried one of Tia's fingerprints on the lens. The loft had actually been searched before, albeit very briefly. During the first search, one of the police officers got out a chair and they stood on it and they kind of poked the head in. She's not here, let's move on. The next day, when the house was being searched again, 2 police officers, in fact, were in the loft and they searched there for about 25 minutes and they couldn't find anything. With one of the police officers saying, "I've never searched a loft before in my life, I don't want to break anything." Yeah. The third time the house was searched, they had dogs in, and the dog started sniffing towards the roof, indicating that maybe there's something there, but the loft was so small and the dog was so big, they didn't, would have been a whole thing, a huge hassle. Nah, let's move on, it's fine, it's grand, don't worry about it.
Welcome to 5 News, I'm Emma Crosby. We start with some breaking news tonight. In the last few minutes, detectives investigating the disappearance of 12-year-old Tia Sharp say they found a body at her grandmother's home. The Metropolitan Police have now launched a murder inquiry following the discovery. It comes just hours after forensic officers began searching the house in New Addington in South London. The body hasn't yet been identified. Police have now launched a manhunt for her grandmother's partner, Stuart Hazell, saying that if anyone sees him, they should call 999. Well, Rebecca Barry is at the house in New Addington for us tonight. And what more can you tell us, Rebecca?
Well, a dramatic development. As you say, in the last few minutes, it's been confirmed that a body has been discovered at the house up the end of this path. That's Tia's grandmother's house. Now, Scotland Yard have released a statement saying a murder inquiry has been launched after a body was found at the property. Inquiries are underway to establish the identity of the body. We were here this afternoon as this investigation took a dramatic turn. Suddenly, this missing persons inquiry took on a new intensity. Groups of police officers swept through this estate, their focus, Tia's grandmother's house. Teams of uniformed officers prevented anyone getting within 100 metres, but one of our cameras caught the moment detectives entered the house.
Stuart was then arrested after buying some booze in the local shops.
Come back! You have to touch me, don't touch me.
Oh, it's not going to help, fellas.
Well, it ain't going to help touching
Protecting someone that killed.
Let us have him fight.
I'll stab him myself. You should kill him on the corner.
Christine was also arrested, simply as the police didn't believe she couldn't have known her granddaughter was there the entire time. Charges against her were later dropped. A neighbour was also arrested after he claimed he saw her the day she went missing, and was actually jailed for 5 months for wasting police time. Guess that needs to be taken more seriously. Stuart, he protested his innocence from the very get-go, saying that she had actually fallen down the stairs and, broken her neck, and oh no, better hide her in a black bag in the attic. While in jail, Stuart actually wrote a letter to his dad saying, "Dear Dad, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but everything in papers ain't true. They twist and make their own shit up what happened. I will explain in time, but put it this way, it was an accident and I panicked." Jesus, his grammar and punctuation. Stupid, I know. But for my stupidity, I am looking at 15 to 18 years. He got a lot more than that, if you can believe it. There was no evidence of a brain hemorrhage, no evidence of compression of the neck, and none of her bones were broken. There were also no fractures in her neck, no bruising in that area, and no damage to the spinal cord. When the press laid siege to the house after Tia's disappearance, he was effectively under house arrest, and his plan to move the body somewhere else became, well, extremely difficult when there's 100 cameras outside. After Tia's body was found, a more thorough search of the house finally was undertaken, and they found a couple of memory cards hidden. One was actually hidden inside a door frame that contained numerous disturbing images. Tia sleeping or applying moisturizer, and also pictures taken of her dead body in sexual positions. Police also found extensive pornography featuring, well, you know. It's believed she had been sexually assaulted and smothered to death, though the state of decomposition was so bad, it was hard to tell. Tia had used her BlackBerry messaging on her mobile phone to speak to a friend until 1:45 a.m. on August 3rd, and she never used it again. Stuart was charged with her murder on the 12th of August, 3 days after he gave that media interview, and he pled not guilty.
So what can you tell me about the murder of Tia Sharp, Stuart? Stuart?
Oh, a couple of minutes with my solicitor, please.
Okay.
Just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, that's no problem. It's 1:10. We'll stop the tapes and we'll leave the room and give you a chance to have a chat.
Prosecutors alleged Tia was murdered in the early hours of August 3rd, while she was alone with Stuart as her grandmother worked overnight at a care home. Christine called Stuart from work and said she could hear Tia laughing in the background as they watched TV. Stuart then sent Christine a text at 10:12 p.m. saying, "Tia's going to bed after Family Guy, baby, and then I'm going to pass out." Another message from him at 11:44 p.m. said, "Night night, baby, call you tomorrow." But the prosecution claimed instead of going to bed, he attacked Tia over the next few hours, then wrapped her body in a sheet and bin bags, taped it up, and hid it in the loft. When the trial began proper in 2013, 5 days into the trial, Stuart changed his plea to guilty.
At 11 o'clock, the legal teams and the judge came back into court. Stuart Hazell stood in the dock. Lord Carlisle asked that the jury be brought in. Lord Carlisle, Stuart Hazell's defence barrister. The jury came in and he asked that the indictment, the charge, be put to Stuart Hazell again, the murder charge of Tia Sharp. At that point, it was put to him again. There was a pause as he stood in the dock. He then said, "Guilty." At that point, there were some gasps and cries from the public gallery where Tia Sharp's family have been sitting. At that point, Lord Carlisle said that Stuart Hazell believed that he could no longer put Tia Sharp's family through the distress and upset that he had so far, and that he wanted to change his plea to guilty. So a week into this trial, as the prosecution case was closing, Stuart Hazell has changed his plea.
And was sentenced to 38 years in prison. Stephen Carter, Tia's father, who took her on holidays, said Stuart should have been hanged.
You called for the death penalty?
Yes. I mean, I've been in touch with my local MP about this, and he seems that I've got a very good, strong case to write to David Cameron and just try and push this to the public, make people more aware that this needs to be talked about in the House of Commons. We need to be able to sit down and discuss that, obviously, for people like him, for what he's done.
The house where Tia was murdered was demolished in 2013. You know, tabloids are usually wrong because they love to point the finger at innocent people. But in this case, they were bang right. He was suspected by a lot of people from the very beginning, and Yeah, Stuart Hazell truly is a monster. And, you know, reviewing that footage of him doing the interview, in retrospect, man, it's just pretty evil. Now, a lot of people said, oh, body language, his ears turn red and he looks this way and all that stuff. But, yeah, he truly was a horrific piece of shit. And the whole case, it's just fucked, isn't it? Though in some letters he sent since being in prison, he's very lonely. Oh, poor him. But he tries to stay positive. Ah, yeah, sure, only another 30-odd years to go. Which, for what he did, it's less than he deserves. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to watch some more of my videos, please work away. And I will see you, as always, real soon in the next video. Take care of yourselves. Mike out.